There's a quiet thought that hits you late at night when everything finally slows down. It's the realization that they moved on, but not the way you expected. Not with someone better. Not with someone deeper. Just someone else. And what messes with your head isn't jealousy. It's confusion. Because you were present. You were intentional. You were willing to stay in discomfort, to talk things through, to grow. And yet somehow, the avoidant didn't end up with someone like you. They ended up with someone who feels different, easier, quieter, less demanding. That's where most men get stuck. They assume the avoidant won. They assume the avoidant found peace, clarity, or finally learned how to love. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people don't want to say out loud. Avoidants don't end up with who they want. They end up with who they can tolerate. And those are very different things. This video isn't about hope. It's not about revenge. And it's definitely not about trying to get an avoidant back. It's about understanding the end game, the place avoidant patterns quietly lead when they're never confronted. Because if you've ever wondered why someone who couldn't meet you emotionally suddenly commits to someone else, if you've questioned whether you were too much or not enough, if you replayed conversations thinking you pushed too hard, then you deserve clarity, not self-blame. What you're about to hear may challenge the story you've been telling yourself. Not in a dramatic way, in a grounded, almost unsettling way. The kind that doesn't sting, but lingers. We're going to talk about who avoidants actually end up with. Not in theory, not in pop psychology cliches, but in real emotional outcomes. And more importantly, we're going to talk about what that means for you as a man who is capable of depth, presence, and real connection. Stay with me, because the truth here doesn't flatter anyone, but it frees the right people. There's a moment most men never see. It happens long after the breakup, long after the silence settles. It's the moment the avoidant doesn't ask, "Who do I love?" They ask, "What feels easiest to live with?" That distinction changes everything. Avoidants aren't moving toward connection. They're moving away from internal tension. And love, real love, creates tension for them. Not because it's wrong, but because it requires presence, consistency, and emotional exposure. Things they've learned to associate with pressure rather than safety. So when avoidant chooses a partner, it often isn't about passion or depth. It's about quiet, emotional quiet, low expectation, predictability without vulnerability. This is where many men misinterpret what they see. You look at who they end up with and think, they must be happier. But happiness isn't what's being optimized here. Regulation is. Avoidants are experts at emotional self-regulation through distance. They learned early that staying slightly detached kept them functional. So they gravitate toward relationships that don't disrupt that balance. Not relationships that expand them. Not ones that challenge them. Just ones that don't ask too much. And here's the uncomfortable part. If you were expressive, emotionally available, or willing to address issues, you weren't too much. You were simply incompatible with their coping strategy. Quiet doesn't mean healthy. Quiet just means nothing is being touched. These relationships often look stable on the surface. No big fights. No dramatic breaks. No emotional confrontations. But underneath, nothing meaningful is happening either. Growth stalls. Intimacy stays shallow. Conflict gets avoided, not resolved. And the avoidant is okay with that, because it keeps their nervous system calm. This is why avoidants often stay in relationships that feel emotionally flat, but functionally smooth. The absence of depth feels like relief, not loss. At least at first. But here's what most people miss. Choosing quiet is not the same as choosing peace. Peace requires internal safety. Quiet only requires suppression. And suppression always has a cost. It just doesn't show up immediately. If you're watching this as a man who wanted something real, understand this clearly. You didn't lose because you wanted more. You stepped out a dynamic that could never fully meet you. In the next section, we're going to talk about why strong emotional bonds don't feel romantic to avoidance. They feel threatening. And once you understand that, a lot of past confusion starts to make sense. There's a quiet realization that stings when you finally see it. The avoidant didn't walk away because the connection failed. They walked away because it asked them to feel something unfamiliar. For avoidance, Safety isn't defined by warmth or reassurance. It's defined by what they already know how to survive. And what they know best is emotional distance, self-reliance, and keeping needs small enough to manage alone. So when an avoidant ends up with someone new, it's rarely because that person offers deeper connection. It's because the dynamic feels familiar in a way that doesn't activate old fears. Familiar doesn't mean healthy. Familiar just means predictable. This is where many men get trapped in comparison. You look at the new partner and think, they're calmer, less demanding, maybe better suited. But what you're really seeing is a relationship that doesn't press on unresolved wounds. Avoidants don't choose partners who invite growth. Growth requires discomfort. Growth brings up the parts of themselves they've spent years avoiding. Instead, they choose partners who fit into the emotional limits they already have in place. That often means someone who doesn't ask for emotional clarity, doesn't challenge distance, doesn't require consistent intimacy, not because that person is inferior, but because the dynamic keeps things manageable. Here's the hard truth. If you brought emotional presence, reflection, or a desire to talk things through, you weren't incompatible with love. You were incompatible with avoidance. Avoidants often confuse relief with connection. The absence of emotional demand feels like peace to them. But it's not peace, it's familiarity. It's the same emotional environment they learned to navigate early on. And familiarity is powerful. It can override attraction, values, and even chemistry. Because the nervous system will always choose what feels survivable over what feels expansive. That's why avoidants often end up repeating the same type of relationship over and over. Different face, same emotional distance, same unspoken tension, same unresolved patterns. They aren't choosing who is best for them. They're choosing what keeps them from having to change. And this is where men often misplace blame. You wonder what you lacked, what you could have done differently. But the truth is, your presence wasn't the problem. It was the mirror. In the next section, we're going to move away from external dynamics and step inside the avoidant's inner world. Because what really determines who they end up with isn't logic. It's what they're trying not to feel. There's a constant tension inside an avoidant that rarely gets spoken out loud. Not panic, not chaos, just pressure, a quiet, tightening feeling that shows up the moment closeness becomes real. When connection deepens, their mind doesn't say, "This feels safe." It says, "I'm about to lose control." Affection registers as expectation. Care feels like obligation. Emotional presence feels like exposure. They don't experience love as something they step into. They experience it as something closing in. Inside, there's a constant monitoring of distance. A silent calculation of how much space is still available. How much of themselves they've already given away. How close is too close. Even when they care deeply, there's a background fear of being consumed, overwhelmed, or needed in ways they don't know how to meet. That fear doesn't come with words. It shows up as restlessness, irritation, emotional numbness. They start needing relief, not from you, but from the feeling itself. This is why avoidants often disconnect internally long before they disconnect externally. The bond doesn't disappear. It goes quiet. It gets buried under self-protection. They tell themselves they're thinking clearly, that they're being rational. But what's really happening is emotional shutdown. Inside, love feels heavy. Not because it's wrong, but because it activates old wiring that says closeness equals danger. There's also a subtle sense of inadequacy. A belief that if someone truly sees them, expectations will rise, need will increase, and eventually they'll fail. So they pull back emotionally to prevent that imagined failure. What they crave isn't connection or distance. It's relief. Relief from the internal pressure of being emotionally seen. And when they choose a partner who doesn't evoke that pressure, it feels like peace. Their mind slows down. Their body relaxes. But the absence of pressure is mistaken for compatibility. Inside, there's no language for this. Just a quiet narrative that says, this is easier, this is better. But easier doesn't mean fulfilling. It just means less triggering. And because they've learned to prioritize emotional regulation over emotional depth, they gravitate toward relationships that keep their internal world calm, even if it stays shallow. In the next section, we're going to talk directly to you. Because if you've been trying to understand or outgrow this dynamic, there's a moment where clarity has to replace patience. Let's slow this down and talk honestly, man to man, if you've been involved with an avoidant. There's a good chance you didn't just lose a relationship. You slowly lost pieces of yourself trying to keep it alive. You became more careful. You filtered your emotions. You started second-guessing your needs so you wouldn't feel like too much. And here's the uncomfortable truth. That wasn't love. That was adaptation. You weren't growing. You were shrinking to fit someone else's nervous system. Men often mistake restraint for maturity, silence for strength, patience for leadership. But there's a line where patience turns into self-abandonment. An avoidant doesn't feel safer when you disappear emotionally. They feel relieved. And relief is not the same thing as respect or love. The more you reduce your needs, the less real the connection becomes. Not because you're wrong, but because intimacy requires presence, not compliance. Here's the calm criticism. If you keep trying to prove you're low maintenance, you're training yourself to accept less than you're capable of giving. That's not strength. That's fear wearing discipline's clothing. Avoidants don't step up because someone is endlessly understanding. They step up when they're faced with emotional reality, or they step away. And this is where your role changes. The wake-up advice is simple, but not easy. Stop negotiating your emotional truth for the illusion of connection. Say what you feel clearly, not dramatically, not defensively, just honestly, and then watch what happens. If they lean in, there's potential. If they pull away, you didn't lose them, you revealed the limit. That moment isn't failure. It's clarity, because the goal was never become safe enough to be chosen. The goal was to be whole enough to walk away without losing yourself. In the next section, we'll talk about where avoidants actually end up and why it's often very different from what you imagine. There's a quiet assumption most men carry after loving an avoidant. You imagine them eventually settling down with someone calmer, easier, less intense than you. Someone who fits them better. That assumption keeps you stuck longer than the relationship itself. Here's the truth that doesn't get said enough. Avoidants don't end up with the most compatible partner. They end up with the least activating one. That doesn't mean happier. It means quieter. An avoidant's nervous system isn't seeking depth. It's seeking relief. So they gravitate toward relationships where emotional expectations are low, where closeness doesn't require interchange, and where they're rarely challenged to show up fully. From the outside, it can look stable, but inside it's often flat. There's connection, but not intimacy. Routine, but not vulnerability. Safety, but not aliveness. And here's the part that matters for you. The relationship you had with them was different. Not because you were better, but because you reached places in them they didn't know how to stay with. That doesn't make you replaceable. It makes you memorable. Avoidants rarely forget the person who asked more of their emotional capacity than they were ready to give. They move on, yes, but they don't move past a comparison. This is why you'll sometimes feel their presence long after contact ends. Subtle check-ins, sudden curiosity, moments where you feel remembered. Not because they're planning to return, but because you represented a version of intimacy they couldn't sustain. And that realization matters, because it frees you from the fantasy that you were too much. You weren't too much. You were too real for someone who hadn't learned how to stay. And the final truth is this. The person an avoidant ends up with tells you nothing about your value, and everything about their capacity. In the conclusion, we'll bring this together and talk about what this means for you moving forward, without resentment, without hope traps, and without losing your edge. Here's the calm but uncomfortable truth most men never hear. An avoidant doesn't lose you because you weren't enough. They lose you because staying would have required them to become someone they weren't ready to be. That's not a romantic statement. It's a grounding one. If you've been carrying questions late at night, did I ask for too much? Did I push too hard? Did I imagine the connection? Understand this. People don't pull away from what feels empty. They pull away from what feels exposing. And that means something important about the bond you shared. This isn't about waiting for them to realize your worth. That keeps you psychologically tied to someone who couldn't meet you. This is about recognizing that the relationship already did its job. It showed you how deeply you're capable of connecting and where you're no longer willing to settle. The most controversial truth of all: the man who heals doesn't win by being chosen later. He wins by no longer needing the choice. If any part of this video reflected your experience, I want you to say it in the comments, not to relive the pain, but to name it clearly, honestly, and without shame. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're just done confusing distance for destiny. And that's where real forward movement begins.